As a kid, I absolutely adored the arcades, but living in Ireland and growing up in the 90s, they were something of a rare treat as opposed to a regular occurrence. These days, very few arcades remain here, and with each passing year that rarity grows ever more. So whenever I do happen to come across a game that focuses on bringing back those nostalgic days, I can't help but take a look at, and the game we're looking at today is one such game. Serious Scramblers is a simple arcade platformer developed and published by indie developer Chinykian Games. It released on Steam November 11, 2019 for PC and Mac and is priced at €1.59. Serious Scramblers is a great and addictive little game that offers just the right amount of challenge, all the while having the perfect amount of content to keep it engaging. There is no plot to Serious Scramblers, instead it's all about the gameplay. The objective of Serious Scramblers is to reach the final platform of each of the 27 levels. How this works is that unlike most platformer games, there is no jumping at all. Instead, all you can do is fall. It is this rule that creates the challenge with Serious Scramblers, as you will be dealing with spike traps, enemies and turrets that fire bullets, all of which increase in number the further you progress in the game. If you are hit by any of these, you are instantly killed. When dealing with enemies, you either need to land on their heads to kill them or avoid them altogether. With the spike traps, they activate as soon as you hit the red platforms, giving you about 1 or 2 seconds before they lift up killing you, and the turrets fire out bullets in one direction every 2 or 3 seconds, which need to be avoided. It may sound easy to avoid such obstacles, but the difficulty comes from the fact that it isn't just these hazards that you have to worry about, but the pit itself. You must keep up with the speed of the pit scrolling, all the while making sure not to fall down either, as that too will kill you. So you need to keep a balance between descending in time to the scrolling, along with avoiding the enemies and hazards all at the same time. It is with those elements where the challenge of the game lays. To help you, each time you pick up a coin or defeat an enemy, you will gain a speed boost that temporarily increases your movement speed. This is extremely useful for avoiding hazards and for keeping up with the increased scrolling speed the further you progress in the game. The rule of not being able to jump and your only way of progressing is to fall, along with either falling on enemies or avoiding them entirely, is quite brilliant. It is such a simple idea, but one that creates very addictive gameplay that is not only fun, but provides just the right amount of difficulty where it is challenging, but not to the point it would be considered masochistic. It is a difficult game, but not one that would be off-putting to those who aren't so fond of extreme challenge. It remains fair to players of all skill and difficulty levels. The distance that you need to descend gradually increases as you progress through the levels. It starts off at 100 and slowly but surely begins to grow to a maximum of 1000 by the final stage. The increase in the distance needed too increases the challenge of the game, but the levels starting off with only a distance of 100 acts as a fantastic introduction to the game's mechanics. The game then slowly starts introducing new enemies and hazards, along with increasing how far you need to descend in each level. This in return allows the player to ease into the mechanics before it starts throwing the real challenges at them, which is excellent design. As previously mentioned, on your journey you will find coins that can be collected. You also gain an additional coin for every enemy that you defeat. If you die during a run journey, you'll need to start the level over. But if you have enough coins, you'll be able to use them for a revival, allowing you to start again from the depths that you died. The amount of coins needed for a revival is dependent on how far you descend. With the further you go down, the more it will cost you. There's also no limit to how many times you can be revived in a single level, as long as you have the required coins to continue using it. The idea of this mechanic is simply brilliant, as it gives those who are having particular difficulty with a level a lifeline to help them along. It is an optional feature, so those who want the ultimate challenge don't have to use it if they don't want to. It is a neat little addition that adds to an already very balanced difficulty that makes the game fair to all players no matter their skill level. The coins, however, have another purpose than just revivals during a level. They are also used to buy and unlock new playable characters through the character select screen. The number of coins needed to unlock the characters range from 50 up to 2000. There is more to the unlockable characters than just being cosmetic. Each of the characters have their own advantages and disadvantages associated with them. For example, the Mummy is a slower moving character, but more coins spawn in each level than with any other character. Mr. Cottons falls slower than the other characters, but the speed boost lasts longer with him, and those are just 2 examples. Each of the characters changing up the gameplay in their own unique way, with them making things easier in one regard but a bit more challenging in another. This allows the player to experiment, where if having trouble in getting past a level, they can change the characters to one that is more suitable for that particular level, making it slightly easier to progress. The additional characters bring the gameplay to a whole new level, all the while adding variety, along with rewarding the player for playing well. The fewer coins you use for revivals, the more you can put towards unlocking the characters. It is a great design that not only adds to the gameplay, but gives what is a simple game a lot more content to play around with. There are 2 bosses in Serious Scramblers, one mid-stage boss and of course the final boss. Both of these are pretty well designed. They offer a good challenge, all the while not too extreme. Their attack patterns are easy enough to learn, all the while being varied enough that they are not boring, along with it being obvious in what you need to do to defeat them. If I was to have one issue with the bosses, it would be that they're both essentially the exact same. The final boss is a bigger and slightly more challenging version of the mid-stage boss. I would have liked to have seen more of a difference between the two, but it isn't a deal breaker. It still delivers in every way that a final boss is supposed to. The final thing to discuss is the endless mode. About halfway through the game you'll unlock this mode. How this works is that there is no end to the level, instead the objective is to descend as far down as possible without dying. To make things interesting, the developer has added a global Steam leaderboard where players can attempt to reach the top by being the one who has descended the furthest. This additional mode is a great little addition for those who are looking for a bit of competitiveness. While it isn't something that is to everyone's taste, for those that do enjoy it, it is bound to give them plenty of extra playtime as they attempt to reach the top of the leaderboard. As a whole, the gameplay to Serious Scramblers is great. It's fun, it's addictive and extremely well designed, and honestly there is little I can fault with the game. If there was to be one improvement I think could be made, it would be with the menus. Right now you can only select the menu option with the enter key, which is fine for those using the arrow keys, but not so much for those using WASD. Being able to select the menu options using the spacebar or the E key for WASD users would be great. While it is a relatively short game, the unlocking of all the characters and the endless mode are both bound to keep you playing for more than just a few extra hours. And overall, for its price, you honestly cannot ask for more. It's well worth it. The atmosphere is very much one of being back in the 80s and 90s playing a game in the arcades. You have all the retro platformer sound effects along with a very addictive chiptune soundtrack that you'll quickly find yourself subconsciously humming as you play. When you combine the music, the sound effects and the screen design of Serious Scramblers, it truly brings you back to the days of being a kid in an arcade. And while many games often attempt this, few ever succeed to the degree that Serious Scramblers does. Serious Scramblers is one of those games where just viewing the store page isn't quite enough. You just have to get stuck into it and give it a go to really appreciate it and the goal that the developer had when making it. Give it a chance and you'll find yourself being utterly absorbed into it before you even realise it. Serious Scramblers is a fantastic game that, despite having started its life on mobile, has transitioned over to PC extremely well. It is addictive, it is fun and has more than enough content to keep you busy, making its asking price well worth every cent. And with that, I give Serious Scramblers a 9 out of 10. It is games like Serious Scramblers that prove there is still quality to be found amongst the large quantity of crap that comes onto Steam with the €5 or below price tag attached to it. Very often such priced games are a gamble, but Serious Scramblers is anything but it.